I'm going to do that right now. I have no idea. Wow, look at the line. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. I'm going to keep this down here. Sorry, sweetie. And for those of you who weren't here for Easter, there's a few of these left, first come, first serve, out in the front room that has a little treasure inside for you. I'll tell you what mine says. I just got around to picking one for myself today. Do you remember what our theme was last week? Anybody? The truth sets us free. Yes. And we also sang a song about the truth being the key that sets us free. So spoiler alert, inside your little egg, you will find a key, a little key to remind you. And for those of you who got your key last week, I'll just encourage you to put it somewhere visible so that when you look at it again, you'll be reminded, what truth do I know that can apply to what's going on in my life right this minute? That's what your key can help you remember, that truth that sets you free. And you are given an affirmation in your egg. There's many different ones, so who knows what yours will say, but mine reminded me today, this feels good. I am an eternal being. The light of God radiates through my mind and body. So I'll share that with you. You're welcome to hold on to that one too. I am an eternal being. The light of God radiates through my mind and body. So lots of things to do today. If you're watching online, you can still go to unitycommunityconnect.com where there is a channel that's called Easter and Survey. And on that channel, are we live? Good. Hey, how you doing? Be funny if I were talking away to y'all and you weren't even listening. On that channel, Easter/Survey, there is a whole list of those beautiful affirmations for you. So I hope you'll download those and let them continue to inspire you. And welcome to Unity in Naperville. If this is your first time here, I'm Kitty Benson. I'm the minister here at Unity, and we are also blessed every Sunday by our band, Highest Good, Kim Char and Mark and Kevin and Mark. So let's just enjoy all the goodness they have to share with us. If you'd like to stand as we sing, you're welcome to do that. Even at home, stand and dance a little bit, or just be comfortable in your chair, whatever feels good. What are we singing?
My soul is welcome here.
Oh, gotta love that. Stand as you're able or sit as you're comfortable.
Good morning, everyone. I'm in the right place, in the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Let's sing that again. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm at the right place at the right time. I am just what I'm supposed to be. I'm at the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. Yes. My soul, you feel that? My soul is welcome here. 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 My soul is welcome. Come on now. My soul is welcome here. 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 Yes. Do you feel embraced? Do you know you are loved? If there's any doubt, I invite you to just go into that space and think about that, how deeply loved you are.
Let's just take a breath. We think upon the things that bring us light and comfort and peace today. And to go along with our message, let's just hold someone in our heart that dwells on the other side. A loved one that we may not see with our eyes any longer, but knows our present. We behold them as light. As we've lit these candles on the table today, we behold them as light and give thanks that they are always with us, that they are an expression of love, that they are in deep peace, and that they know the joy of God in all that they're experiencing. We hold you in our hearts in that love and joy and peace today. We speak this truth, knowing our invocation that we say together up here on the screen. There is only one presence, one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. Thank you. You may be seated.
We hold them in our hearts with deep gratitude.
Moment to keep my heart wide open. With every breath I take, I'm grateful. I promise in this moment to keep my heart wide open. With every breath I take, I'm grateful. Sing that again. I promise in this moment to keep my heart wide open. With every breath I take, I'm grateful. I promise in this moment to keep my heart wide open. With every breath I take, I'm grateful. I am 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 grateful. Thank you. 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 I promise in this moment to keep my heart wide open. With every breath I take, I'm grateful. Thank you. I promise in this moment to keep my heart wide open. With every breath I take, I'm grateful. Thank you. I am 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 grateful. I promise in this moment to keep my heart wide open. With every breath I take, I am grateful. I promise in this moment to keep my heart wide open. With every breath I take, I'm grateful.
like you. I just encourage you to take a moment to put your hand on your heart and imagine that you are speaking out to the universe and all of God's presence with a thank you in your heart. Just hold that for a moment. So it is. If you were with us last week, it was Easter, and we were talking about Jesus' life and his death and his resurrection, and mostly his life, focused on who he was as a spiritual being, having this human experience. He went through it just like you and I, but maybe just a little bit ahead of the game. And there was one scripture where he had been taken captive and he was standing before the governor Pilate, and Pilate was trying to get him to admit that he was trying to be king of something. And Jesus said, I came here for a reason, and that reason was to testify to the truth. And I got to say that it's easy for each of us to have our own truth. Who knows what he was testifying to in his life? But I like to take a look at the things that he did. And the thing that spoke to me most loudly when it comes to truth is showing us that we are eternal beings, having a human experience. And then, when you look back at all the things that he did in his life, he was demonstrating how a spiritual being might live in this human experience, and even called us to do the things that he had done, and even greater things. Are you up for that? Easy for him to say, right? To be able to walk through our life always knowing I am eternal, I am unlimited, all things are possible. I have to say that the older you get, the easier it is not to focus on eternal life, but more about death, weakness, the body coming to an end. And I've been really witnessing that for my parents in the last 10 years. I kind of went back in my head this week to figure out when it all really started. And it's been 10 years of my life witnessing their process of ending the physical life experience. And lots of different stories going on in that. What my dad was experiencing with his dementia and his death, what my mom experienced losing her husband, and then her own weakness and frailty towards the end and her death, what my siblings were experiencing, watching our parents go through that demise and wondering if that was what lay ahead for us. That's really easy to do, really easy to get caught up in it. Is this my story? When I get to that point, will I live that long? Will I have those experiences? And then we go through the process of grieving the loss of parents. And everyone has their own story. There's, of course, the thoughts that cross our mind. What are they doing now when we've lost a loved one? Many of you have allowed a loved one of yours to go to the other side. What are they doing now? Is there life after death? You may still have that question. I watched, my mom and dad had different points of view, even though they both spent most of their life in the Baptist church. My dad came out believing in reincarnation. He didn't learn that in church. He was all about cremation. My mom thought that was non-biblical, and so she was all about a casket. And she finally went along because I think she wanted to be in the same spot where he was after the fact. But what was interesting for her, she was the one who spent most of her life reading the Bible and praying, and yet coming at the end of her life to a state of fear about what was going to happen to her when she left the body. And I know she knows now, and I personally couldn't tell her because I couldn't remember. I do believe that as spiritual beings, we are remembering, knowing we're actually in the eternal life while we're here in the physical life. But my human experience couldn't remember that, and so I couldn't really promise her that this is the way it would be. And yet it's been something that's fascinated me most of my life, especially once I got into Unity, because it's a different point of view. It's actually much broader, a broader point of view for me than it used to be about what happens after death. And You know, we've had some loss here in our congregation in the last week or two, and I just know that you're supporting them in that, and it's probably good for us to just maybe touch on this topic. Carol was handing out little forms that say, I have a question about life after death, and hopefully you've got those in your hands so that you can write down questions that might come up for you today, because next week we're going to talk about what your questions are. If you didn't get one, you can fill one out after the service. If you're watching online, I'll give you a slide at the end about where you can send those or put them in your Facebook chat if you'd like. But I want to start by just telling you who's informed me, who has offered some ideas about life after death that resonate with me. They don't have to resonate with you, and you can just set them aside if they don't. But I'm just going to offer these to see if they give you some hope or inspiration. And up here on the screen is our list of people that we'll either hear from or that will influence what I'm saying today. Michael Newton wrote a couple of books, but Journey of Souls is one of them. He is a psychologist who was practicing hypnosis with his patients to help them figure out repetitive problems in their bodies, and even wandering into past life regression if they believed in that. Well, one time he accidentally heard his patient start talking about his experience between lives, after leaving a previous life and then being in the spiritual dimension before coming here, and what happened to them, what their life experience was like. Fascinating, and he didn't just write these books lightly. He actually worked with thousands of clients over decades before he finally assembled it all and found the common responses and came up with these books. So we'll hear some from him today. Anita Moorjani had a near-death experience. Eben Alexander had a near-death experience. He's a neurosurgeon. Hearing who we are as spiritual beings is helpful from a channel's perspective. Esther Hicks, who has a broader point of view of what we are in the body and outside of the body. We probably know someone or heard of someone who sat with a medium, someone who's able to connect with our loved ones on the other side and share with us what they're saying. And that Suzanne Giesman has been kind of supporting my learning process. And of course, what Unity teaches about who we are here and there. So we'll talk about a little bit of all of that. And what I'm doing today is I'm going through some of the most common questions that people ask about life after death. So up here on the screen, we're going to start with one of the common ones. What happens at the time of death? What happens? Do we feel pain? Does it hurt to leave the body? If you have ever been with a person as they're dying, how many of you have literally been with someone? Wow, many of you. Yeah. So it's different for everyone. It depends on what their body is dying of and what that body is experiencing. And a lot of times if you're in care, then you're being given medication, so you don't really notice that pain. But the body might suffer. The question is, what's happening to you, because you are not the body. You are the spirit. And it is not painful, it's freeing. So some of the things that we're hearing is that it's just a new point of view, really. Death is just a new point of view. It's a different vantage point, a different perspective. So right now you're looking at me through your eyes, and you can see what's in front of you, and you can probably see a little bit off to your sides. But from the spirit, free from the body, your experience is more 360. What's going on all around you as a spiritual being. And as a matter of fact, Anita Moorjani in her near-death experience could also just turn her thought in a direction towards what is my doctor doing or saying, and he was way down the hall having a conversation with her family, and she could hear everything that they were saying. And then there was her ability to just think about her brother, and she could see him boarding a plane on in a completely different country. This is her freedom without the body. So think of no more physical impairment, but a sense of spiritual energy. We're not necessarily formed into something solid, but limitation disappears, and there is a sense of freedom. Something that Michael Newton gathered from his clients was that there's a feeling of a pull of yourself out of the body, and oftentimes up through the top of your head, and you recognize that you are light. And that feeling of freedom means there's no limits, there's no obstacles, there's nothing that's holding you to earth. You can rise up, hover over the scene. You can't touch anything like you used to, maybe just go right through it. And you also are just pretty relaxed about the whole thing, just observant, curious about what's happening. And you might notice your loved ones around and want to talk to them. They can't hear you. That might be a little confusing at first. Also, they may be distraught and you want to comfort them, and you're sending them love, and they may not be able to feel it because they're at a lower vibration. They're in grief. And when they're at that energy, they're not sensitive to your love being present right there with them. So you can be persistent if you want, but there's also this pulling sensation away from the scene. And again, you can resist that if you choose to stay with the scene and what's happening. Many of us want to stay and see what? What do you want to see most before you leave town? Say it again. Who will miss me? The funeral. Yes. I just imagine that whoever is deceased at a funeral is also completely alive and present for that moment. There's also just a recognition that every problem you had on earth no longer exists. Bills, your kids, driving you nuts, your work, whatever it is that was weighing you down, no more of that. And there is a sense of light, brightness, whether it's completely surrounding you first as you leave the body, or perhaps as you're being drawn through this exit. That could be a portal, could be a tunnel, but something that may seem dark, but there's light at the end. And the whole experience of it is being in the presence of love. It's a healing experience. It's a freeing experience. It's peaceful and joy-filled. And most people say that they sense other beings with them. Could be the loved ones who've passed on. It could be your guides or your angels. But you're never alone in this process. So the next question is, what happens next? Is there a heaven? That's something that people have asked me about what Unity believes. And we believe in it in several levels. And I would start by saying heaven is here because it's in our consciousness, and we can experience our spirituality when we point our thoughts in that direction. But there's also, once you leave this physical dimension, a dimension that is pure spirit, and it really is an opportunity for us to experience it at whatever level we are at in consciousness. Jesus had a statement, "In my Father's house there are many mansions." Think of that as a variety of levels of consciousness. We talk about how we are energy. Think of different levels of energy. That perhaps when you're here on earth and you're a student of truth, you're a student of spirit, that you pretty much have already thought about what life might be like on the other side, and it makes perfect sense to you when you get there. It looks very familiar to what you thought it would. Is it possible that you're creating that based on your thoughts and what you believed here? And at the same point, those who live here on earth without an interest in spirituality and only a recognition of what the physical body understands, when they leave, they may have a totally different experience of heaven. And it could be that it takes them a while to kind of awaken to what's going on. They may even be a little bit confused about their experience if they never did contemplate the possibility of an afterlife. But there's always, always love around to help guide you through this process. And of course, the other question around this is there a hell? Unity teaches no, unless you experience it in consciousness. Some of you have had an experience of hell here on earth, right? When there's that deep feeling of fear or fury, where you're completely separate in consciousness from your awareness of God, that can feel like hell. And that's the only kind of hell we would speak of in Unity, is a consciousness that believes it's separate from God. But seeing that all is of God. There is not a God that will create a place that would separate itself from us, because God is omnipresent, everywhere present. We can never be separate from God, except we might think we are. So that presence is not creating another place where God is not. There is always the presence of God and love around us. We just need to open our consciousness to be aware of that and recognize that there is always healing energy with us that's doing its best to help us awaken. Again, levels of awakening, starting with what you believed on earth and gradually awakening more and more over time, if there is such a thing. I think we can experience it all at once, future, past, present, all at once, or one thing at a time, depending on what we choose with our minds. Then there's the question of, and this is our ego asking this question, if there's no hell, what happens to bad people? Bad people should be punished. They shouldn't just get off scot-free and go to heaven. Have you thought that once in a while? Shouldn't we pay for our sins? Up here on the screen, let me show you something from Michael Newton. He said, some souls, our spirit, whose influence over their body is too weak to turn aside human impulse to harm others, go into seclusion upon re-entering the spirit world. Look at that. Just read that to yourself for a minute. It sounds like our spirit is constantly trying to guide our human ego on who to be in this life. And sometimes our spirit isn't able to do that. So there's one interview here that Dr. Newton is having with a client who's in hypnosis, and they're on this topic. Let me share it with you. The doctor says, do souls bear responsibility for their involvement with flawed human beings who injure others in life? Yes, those who have wronged others savagely in a life. I knew one of those souls. What do you know about this entity? What happened after this soul returned to the spirit world following that life? He had hurt a girl terribly and did not rejoin our group. We'll talk about groups in a bit. There was extensive private study for him because he did so poorly while in that body. The doctor said, what was the extent of his punishment? Punishment is a wrong interpretation. It's regeneration. You have to recognize this is a matter for your teacher. The teachers are more strict with those who've been involved with cruelty. What does more strict mean to you in the spirit world? Well, my friend didn't go back with us, his friends, after this sad life where he hurt this girl. The doctor said, did he come through the same spiritual gateway as yourself when he died? Yes, but he did not meet with anybody. He went directly to a place where he was alone with the teacher. And the doctor said, then what happened? After a while, not long, he returned to earth again as a woman, where people were cruel, physically abusive. It was a deliberate choice. My friend needed to experience that. The doctor said, do you think this soul blamed the human brain of his former host body for hurting the girl? No. He took what he had done back into himself. He blamed his own lack of skill to overcome the human failings. He asked to become an abused woman himself in the next life to gain understanding, to appreciate the damage he had done to the girl. The doctor said, if this friend of yours did not gain understanding and continued involving himself with humans who committed wrongful acts, could he be destroyed as a soul by someone in the spirit world? You can't destroy energy, but it can be reworked. And the rest is unrelated to this. So, wow, that's something maybe new for us to consider. And again, take what feels good to you and leave the rest. I've talked off and on here about how our ego gets the best of us when we have seen mass shootings, and why would someone like that get into heaven? because it wasn't their spirit, it was the human ego, but the spirit was there to try and help this person, this ego, see differently and wasn't able to accomplish it. So does the spirit get off and just go start itself in a new life or stay in heaven forever? It sounds like no. They go through the process of reviewing that and figuring out what was their responsibility and how they could have handled this differently. And that maybe we even want to experience what others experienced at our hand so we could more deeply understand it. We'll talk about that in a minute. If you've got questions, write them down. Okay, do we meet God? Someone asked. And here again, meeting God is going to be, I think, different for each of us, depending on your own consciousness, your own awareness of God, at least initially. One person, Sunny Dawn Johnston, is a medium who've heard from those on the other side regularly, and her understanding is this up here on the screen. Yes, you're an aspect of God, a thumbprint of the divine. And so in essence, you and God are one and the same. Like a drop of water in the ocean. Is it a drop of water or is it the ocean? We sing that song here, don't we? Each individual drop creates the ocean just as each individual soul creates the divine. So in truth, you have already met because you are one and the same. And I've also heard a story of a child having a near-death experience who sat on God's lap as a being, as a man on a throne, and coming back and telling that story. And I think that what we experience when spirit in general knows we're coming back into our body, that it's just a near-death experience, limits what we can experience. So it doesn't completely throw us off when we get back into the body and try finishing our lives. If we knew that we are eternal, infinite beings and unlimited, it would be pretty hard to come back into the body. So I think we're sheltered from knowing the fullness of our truth. If spirit knows we're going to choose to come back into the body. And so whatever was familiar with us on earth, this child raised in church, believing God on the throne, had that experience and comes back, had an experience that made him feel comforted and exactly what he expected to experience. And yet there are those who experience God not as a being. One person who is anonymous in this book, Imagine Heaven, said it's the pinnacle of everything there is. That's what God is to him. A pinnacle of everything there is, of energy, of love, especially of love, of warmth, and of beauty. You will, I think, have a variety of experiences of God. One of the most common statements in the Newton books are that it's a presence, a consciousness, aware of all that is and is all that is, and its consciousness is love. And it's expressing itself as each one of these unique spiritual beings. That'll be a mystery that we won't really be able to know until we get there. And even then, it can be a mystery to us until we evolve throughout eternity. Okay, so a common question, am I still me? Will I remember my life? I had the chance to sit with a medium, Jack Wells from our own congregation, after my parents passed, and one of the first things my mom said through him was, "Still the same old me." And I could hear her voice so clearly through that. Just having the same memories, relationships, still aware of all that. We remember the life that we had, and yet I don't think we spend a whole lot of time focused on this life when we're in that experience. We've got other things to do now, so it might start to feel more distant to us over time, never losing touch with our loved ones. And most commonly, do we review our life? Very common stories of reviewing our life like a movie, where we experience the emotions we had while here on life, in our life on earth, and also when we went to a crossroads and we chose left, we review that and we can see what it would be like to choose right and go live that life for a while in consciousness. I would love to do that. Looking forward to that. Also, feeling the feelings of others. This might be the closest thing to hell that we experience. That if we hurt another while we were here, we literally will feel what they experienced at our hand. and given an opportunity not to shame ourselves or judge ourselves, but to grow through that, to learn through that, to be able to make new choices if given that option again. And for those of us who were in life and struggling to understand something, we completely get it when we're out of the body. It all starts to make sense now because our consciousness is one with God, the all-seeing, all-knowing. So, common question, what is the afterlife like? What do we do? Beauty, what's it like? Beauty, love, joy. I hear commonly said that it's colors that you've never seen before that are just amazing. You can't even name them. Music in the air. Beautiful cities that are made out of love. These beautiful structures that are light, and you can literally feel the vibration of love in the walls. And somebody mentioned that when they, in a near-death experience, they entered a studio where music of complexity I couldn't begin to follow was being composed. How fun is that? Write it down. Write your question down, and I'll answer that. Who has another? Carol, can you grab another form for John and a pen? So this experience is, I go where I believe I go. It's, again, what do you want to experience in the afterlife? You are the creator. You are the creator of your afterlife. And you have the opportunity to experience whatever you choose to experience, all with the point of learning, growing, evolving. And what you're experiencing, you're contributing to the whole. One of the things in the Newton books that I read that excited me and resonated with me is that we come into expression as a spark off the divine, so to speak. The allness that God is, we spark off the divine as a unique expression of the allness of God. And if there is time, we are being sparked off at different times, and we hang out with other sparks that got sparked at the same time we did. So we are growing and evolving as a group, having similar experiences, and then coming back into the spiritual dimension to learn from our experiences. We might actually be in the physical with each other. I think we can probably identify certain people that we might call soulmates, or people that just feel like part of our life, deep, deep, deep connection. Those might just very well be part of your soul group, that you came here together to accomplish certain things, and now you're off back into the spiritual dimension talking about it, helping each other learn and grow from the experiences that you had. And yet, there is continual advancement. And I wanted to share this one story with you from Michael Newton's interview with a client. They're talking about different worlds, so to speak, in the spiritual dimension, one of which was called the world of all-knowing. He said, Doctor, have you been to the world of all-knowing? Patient, no, I'm not ready yet. I'm only aware of it as a place we strive for. Doctor says, what do you know about this spiritual area? It's a place of contemplation, the ultimate mental world of planning and design. I can tell you little about this sphere, except it's the final destination of all thought. The senses of all living things are coordinated there. The doctor says, then the world of all-knowing is abstract in the highest form? Yes, it's about blending content with form, the rational with ideals. It's a dimension where the realization of all our hopes and dreams is possible. The doctor says, well, if you can't go there yet, how come you know about it? We get glimpses as an incentive to encourage us to make that final effort to finish our work and join the masters. I don't know if our work is ever finished, if we're eternal, but that sounded like fun and a little bit confusing for my left brain. Another common question is, can we visit our loved ones? As spiritual beings, can we come back to earth and visit our loved ones? We have the ability. We have the ability to have that experience, not fully entering into the physical and a physical body again, but simply just being aware and simply hearing our loved ones when they call, we can instantly bring our consciousness to their consciousness where we're aware of what's going on in their lives. We don't come to snoop on them or invade their privacy. And, most people on earth say, can they see me in the shower? They don't care about seeing you in the shower. That matters not to them any longer. It's just that they want to be there with their love and support you in any way they can. And they've got a lot of other things to do too. So just know that they're as close to you as you want them to be. And one other question is, what if we leave the earth having a grudge with someone on earth? Or what if there's somebody already passed that we have a grudge with? What will that be like? And I want you to remember that in spirit, you have a totally different perspective of life. The one who had the grudge was the human, was the ego, and the brain. You, as your higher self, never had that grudge. That person's actions never touched you, never bothered you. You always felt pure love for them as spirit. And whether you're just leaving them behind, you're sending love, or you're meeting them in spirit, you're both pure love. So that is washed away. And the last question that people often ask, and this is yours to decide, do we come back? Another word for do we reincarnate? And I shared a little bit from Christian Sundberg last week, A Walk in the Physical. He was one who he began a practice of meditation, and at that time he began to become aware. The veil thinned, and he was able to see who he was outside the body before he got here. And he also could see why he chose to come here. And this happened to him after he accomplished his mission, which I'll share with you here. So it might give you an idea of your reason for being here and why you might choose to reincarnate. He said, over the course of my physical incarnations, I had been people and I had engaged certain extremes. I now really wanted to experience a certain significant distance from source. Distance in quotes. Remember, we talk about this. We might come into the body and the veil drops down and we forget that we're spiritual beings. It appears that we're distant from God. Yes? Okay. So he wanted that feeling of separation so that he could work on something. He said, have the opportunity to confront and heal a specific, extremely deep fear. A certain deep, low, experiential vibration that had been very difficult for me in the past. The fear had bested me in a previous life. And through it, I had caused significant pain and distress for many others in that earlier lifetime. Though it's beyond naming, the fear was something to the effect of, I am powerless to avoid agony, mixed with, I am too proud to suffer. That was the fear that he came back to heal. Long after that death, where he initially felt it and couldn't get past it, from the higher spiritual vantage point of complete freedom, power, and joyful excitement, I wanted to confront that fear again. I knew that to do so would be a truly incredible opportunity for personal and collective expansion. Yet the task seemed daunting. The fear seemed so deep, so dark, that I wondered if it was even possible to confront such a low vibration. From the glory and freedom of the realms of light, I asked my guides if it was even possible to integrate such a low vibration. I asked, has this ever been done in all of creation by anyone ever? And they replied joyfully, yes, and you have all time available to you to do so. You don't get it done this time, you can do it next time, kind of thing. This is kind of what we talked about in the last week or so, about the idea that our struggles here on earth are meant to be a gift, an opportunity for our soul to grow by choice, by our soul's choice to be here and have this experience. And again, take what resonates with you and leave the rest for now. There's a lot that we talked about today, and I want to be able to answer your questions next week. So make sure and jot those down. But recognize that we're all on our own path. We're all going to experience this at our own level. And there's not going to be any right or wrong to it. I can't tell you. I don't remember. I can only give you some suggestions and things that people have experienced one way or the other that might give you your own ideas about life after death. And what I wanted to do during meditation today is use someone's experience near death. And I heard John say, what is near death experience? It's when the body dies but is able to be resuscitated. So it could happen in the hospital where they think you're on your way out and your body literally, what's the word? Codes, dies. And they work on you for a minute or they work on you for a half an hour and suddenly your body is back alive again. What happened to you during that half an hour while you appeared to be dead? That's what we call the near-death experience. And then we come back into the body and we usually carry those memories with us. So someone had a memory of that, and it was so beautiful, their experience of heaven, that I thought we'd use that in our meditation today. Are you up for that? Yeah. So this is where we just get to let our imagination wander and do what feels good. I'll just invite Mark to play for us, and I will speak what you are seeing with your eyes and your imagination. So if you'd like to just close your eyes and turn away from what's going on around you. Take a deep breath to release any tension. I promise this will be fun. As your body relaxes, your attention is centered in your heart where there's only love. Parker, can I have my volume up a little bit, please? I stand on a carpet of indescribable beauty. In the distance, there are trees growing at the edge of a forest. Tree branches are heavy, bright, colorful leaves. My eyes thrill. I take in the striking, wild-hued flowers, all varieties, all shapes. These colors are everywhere, dotted against the vivid green grass. Like the leaves on the trees, the flowers sparkle from within. I see that each leaf and petal glow as if lit by an electric light. I don't feel cold, nor do I feel hot. The temperature seems perfect, and the crystal air is clear, pure, a sweet-smelling air. It's a perfect day in heaven. The beauty of it all, astonishing. Nowhere do I see a dead blade of grass or a wilting flower petal, only life and vitality. Infinite rays of colorful light permeate everything. It seems that every colorful thing I see shines from within, with colors that excite my eyes. My eyes dance about, looking everywhere for new colors, a kid in a candy shop. I I take a deep, deep breath of air. It's invigorating, like fresh spring air just after a morning rain. The whole sky is bright and golden, as if the sun has just set. And yet the sky is the inside of a great golden sphere. Like a lightning storm, iridescent colors are chasing with wild abandon across the sky. Yet there is no thunder. It's more beautiful than any sunset I remember. Upon closer inspection at a blade of grass, it seems that it's translucent green, letting light through, but you can't see through it clearly. And the grass and flowers become like wind chimes, as if wired together to ping and ding and tinkle and jingle and bong. The wind plucks invisible musical strings. A choir of living grasses and flowers rise up in sweet unison, all in harmony. The sound of joyous music arises from around my feet, and I know I am home and all is well. Though I know I'm still living a human experience, this is my true home. This is my natural state of being. I am this now and always. I choose heaven today, here and now. I bring heaven to earth as I hold thoughts of heaven in my heart and allow the love of heaven to live through me. This is the truth of who I am, and now I let it be. So it is. Amen. Yes, we're back. But it's only a thought away. How can we make earth that experience? By just holding it deeply in our heart, in consciousness, knowing there's nothing to fear, that there's always a presence of love with us. So I hope you got some questions for next week. There's a little basket out front. And if you're watching, let's show the slide, if you can back up, Julie, to where you can send your questions. If you're watching online, you can either put them in the Facebook chat and I'll gather them up later, or send me an email, revkitty@unityinnaperville.org. And next week we're going to talk a little bit more, besides what you're asking, we'll also talk a little bit more about how to be that spiritual being here and now with loved ones on the other side. Who do we want to be here and now? What is here for us as spiritual beings? So I hope you'll come back for that. And we come to the time in our service where we share love in another way, which is through our tithes and our love offerings. And it's an opportunity for us to just, first of all, feel gratitude for the good that has already entered into our hearts and our life experience, and allow that good to be shared with the spiritual community so that we can continue to have this experience together. And if you are watching online, your gifts are so appreciated. If you'd like to do that through our website at unityinnaperville.org, there's a donate button. Or if you'd like to mail a check to our P.O. Box, it's 9733 in Naperville, and the zip is 60567. Let's bless our offering to free it to do its wonderful work. The words are here on the screen. Together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am grateful. Thank you. Ushers, will you come, please?
I am forgetful. I am Christina Cannonen, and I will be your docent going through the adventures that we have available to us extracurricularly. But first, if you're with us for the first time today, welcome. Whether you're online or in person, we're happy to see you. We're happy to have your energy mixed with ours. We love you all. Okay. If you want to learn more about what's happening at Unity, sign up for our weekly e-news or for Kitty's twice monthly New Thoughts email by going to our homepage at unityinnaperville.org or email admin@unityinnaperville.org. And now for what's happening at Unity. If you're part of our online community and you can come back, sign in on the Zoom link on our event calendar, and hang out with Reverend Kitty in the back room banter. Now, sometimes we trap her out in the reception area, and she can't get to her computer quite as quickly. So if you do sign on, wait for a while, talk among yourselves, she'll be there. Okay? Yeah. Okay, Monday morning metaphysics meets when? Very good, at 10:30 a.m. The group is reading Your Invisible Power by Genevieve Barrand tomorrow. Each week is standalone, so drop in anytime. Join the Healing Circle online Tuesday at 7 p.m. Reverend Kitty will discuss healing principles and pray for your healing request. You can also leave requests in the front room or email prayer@unityinnaperville.org. Access Healing Circle through the website event calendar. This is so timely. I think we all need this for one thing or another. Now for fun, okay? Learn a fun technique to help you relax and be creative. Join Kathy Sezal, a certified creativity fit coach and intentional creativity guide for neurographic drawing on site Friday at 6:30 p.m.
You can read that to say what neurographic art is.
I'm being
And these
coached.
my friends.
Oh, okay. It's briefly a cathartic meeting with your unconscious. Meditative process-based in mindfulness bypasses rational thinking. I do that all the time. But yeah, it looks like it will be interesting. Something to get you out of your norm. Reverend Kitty is doing Aging with Spirit in person and online on Saturday at 10 a.m. This is a monthly gathering to explore new ways to move in and through our senior years with jive. Joy, insight, vitality, and enthusiasm. Advanced registration is helpful in the front room or see event calendar. Suggested love offering of $10 to $20. Going to miss it again, darn. I guess I'm not supposed to age. In honor of Earth Day on April 22nd, we are collecting styrofoam the next 3 Sundays. If it's been in contact with food, please wash it thoroughly. No foam insulation or packing peanuts. If you can help deliver the styrofoam to Dark Container in North Aurora for reprocessing on May 7th, email admin@unityinnaperville.org. Prayer chaplains are available to pray with you by phone or in the prayer room after the service. Email your name and phone number to prayer@unityinnaperville.org, and a prayer chaplain will call you today by 1 p.m. For details on all of our events, go to unityinnaperville.org. For questions, email admin@unityinnaperville.org. And now Reverend Kitty has an announcement.
Thank you, Christina. Can you back up a little bit? Go backwards with your slides. I think there's one for the membership class. Okay. So just a reminder, next Sunday after the service, a 3-hour class. We've got quite a few people signed up already for it. If you can join us in person, we'll meet in the classroom at noon. I'll have some hearty refreshments for you, and especially for those of you who are interested in, well, let's see. The membership class gives you the ability to vote for our upcoming candidates for the Board of Trustees. And this is also the big moment to vote on accepting our new bylaws. So in order to do that, we need you to have taken a membership class, and so this is your chance to do that next Sunday at noon. And you can sign up out front or send an email. Is there an address here? Yeah, just send it to me, revkitty@unityinnaperville.org. And the other thing I wanted to, if you want to fast forward a little bit, let's go to the annual meeting. Okay, so this takes place 2 weeks from today. This is a big deal for us. We do it once a year. It's a chance for all of us to just do a report card of how we've been doing here at Unity, how your board's been doing, and also a chance for you to give us feedback. And we will be doing the election at that time of who it's going to be our new board members. We'll also be voting on the bylaws at that time. So for those of you who are members, I hope you've been watching your mail because you probably received a mailing this week. If you haven't gotten it yet, email me, revkitty@unityinnaperville.org, because if you live out of town and you can't be at the annual meeting, then you can at least mail your ballot back. So there's a lot going on between now and the end of the month. Watch for your mail, fill out your ballot, mail it back, or bring it with you to the annual meeting, and bring a potluck dish to share on that Sunday, April 30th. And the other thing we're doing is the survey slide, if we can take a look at that. We want to hear from you on how you've been experiencing Unity in the past year or so. Whether you're watching online or here, you have something to contribute. There's a few questions. It might take you a couple minutes to just click your answers, and it gives us a chance as a board to know where we need to put our attention in this next year. So you can go right now to unitycommunityconnect.com, and there is a channel called Easter and Survey. So it's a combination of your chance to get Easter affirmations and get the link to the survey. And hopefully if you could answer those questions by next Sunday, then it'll give us a chance to go through them and give the responses to you at the annual meeting on the 30th. Did you keep all that straight in your head? Come on, you're spiritual beings. You know what's going on, right? All right, so that's where I'll stop. You can always find more information about this on our event calendars at unityinnaperville.org. Talk to me afterwards out in the front room if you'd like. Okay, and do we have one more song to sing?
We have a closing song that's perfect right after this message and meditation you had. I'm choosing heaven. I invite you to stand as you're able.
I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing love today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing peace today. I'm choosing peace today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing peace today.
Choosing heaven.
Yes, I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today.
It is definitely ours to choose. Thanks for hanging in with me. I know this was a little longer than normal. We got lots of questions, right? So if you haven't filled out a form, you can leave it in the front room. If you need someone prayed for a healing prayer, there's a form out in the front room, or you can send me an email. And let's just finish with our closing affirmation here on the screen. Why, look, this sounds so familiar. Together, heaven is here, heaven is now. I'm choosing heaven today. Now, it's very possible to live here in this physical experience and not know other people, if you can believe that. So I'm going to encourage you, if you're standing in this room, to just turn to somebody you haven't met yet and introduce yourself. And look forward to getting to see all of you throughout the week, next Sunday. Have a great week, everyone.